everyone, and welcome to Manga Musings with...
my waifu.
And me! And on today's episode, we are bringing you our introductory podcast episode. Yes, we are deciding to do a bit of a podcast format for some of our reading log and upcoming news and releases and some first impressions. We're going to do it in this format because it's going to always be long form if we do that, right?
Yes, it is going to be long form because we have a lot to talk about usually when it comes to manga, and I think that carries over into our YouTube videos a lot of the time. If you haven't noticed, we like to talk a lot about manga, and you know, we want to carry that over to the podcast because that's kind of what a podcast is about. You know, you talk about stuff in a long form way. So that is what we're planning for this, and we're probably going to do this monthly.
Yes.
You know, it takes quite a bit to set this up.
Yeah.
And we had a couple technical difficulties to start.
just a little work. We just had to put a little bit of work in to get this going in this format.
Yeah, just a little bit, but we did it, and I think it looks pretty good. So y'all can let us know what you think if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're just listening, then let us know how we sound. But
yeah, go to YouTube, leave a comment, and let us know how we sound. Yeah, go find the YouTube, find us, like, comment, subscribe, I think is the actual go-to. And then, like, comment, subscribe. And then, after that, let us know how we sound, or if you like this format.
Perfect. But as kind of a general format for what we're thinking for this podcast is that we'll start with a little bit of manga news and some upcoming releases that we are looking into, that we're looking forward to. Yeah. Our reading log, kind of what we've been reading over the past month or so. And then we are going to move into a first impression of a new series for both of us. Yeah. So basically what that means is we're going to read volume 1 of a new series and then come together and discuss how we felt about it, what we thought. Do we think we're going to continue reading it? Yeah. So we'll get into that later as to what we chose. But by the way, we also have decided that we're not going to read past volume 1, so we don't include any more bias beyond the
volume 1 first impressions has to be about just volume 1. That's the end of it. We can't be doing like if you've read 6 volumes and I've read 1 volume, there's certainly going to be some
you're
conflicting.
You're going to have a different opinion, for sure. So that's kind of what we are thinking for the podcast. But if there's anything else that you all are interested in hearing from us, just let us know and we can kind of look into, providing some of that content for you in the future.
Right. And remembering that, like, in a video format, oftentimes we're trying to get through some sort of content, whether it's like a haul or whether it's like a hunt or whatever it is that we're doing, we're trying to like get through something. So oftentimes we're not talking about like ourselves. We're not really going off about on any sorts of tangents, but on this format, it's going to give us a little bit more time to just sort of sit with something and get into a conversation. You might even get to learn a little bit about who we are, a little bit more about what we do. And just to clarify, you might be wondering, you might be thinking, are they even in the same room? Are they in the same house? Yes, we are in the same house. So just to kind of give you guys some perspective here, I'm just right here. So here's my hand. So if you're watching the YouTube video, you should see.
Here I am.
Right, yeah. We're just sitting across from each other at a table, and we just thought this would be more fun than just both of us being on a stagnant camera.
Oh, that'd be weird.
Being able to kind of switch back and forth. That way, you get it's a little more dynamic, but just know, as we're filming, if you're watching, I am flipping the camera as we're going. So if it seems weird, I'm doing all of the control. So like Waifu's on screen now, and that's fantastic. Waifu, you're looking great, beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful. And then it's me, right? But I'm the one doing that. So, if there's any technical difficulties or if I start going on a tangent, mistakes are happen. Yeah, they happen.
Anyway, toss a coin to your Jerry for putting in a little bit of extra work into the podcast of switching back and forth.
I think it's going to be dynamic. It's the dynamism. The dynamism of it is all that I'm here for, okay?
No, it's great.
We're here for the dynamism.
It's going to be great. And I think it might be extra fun for Jerry because he's used to just doing uncensored anime podcasts over Discord. Right. So, and I really hope you guys move forward and actually start doing some stuff in person once maybe one of y'all get a better space to do it. And I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, so now that we're 5 minutes in, let's go ahead and do all the plugs, get all of that out of the way, and then we'll catch you guys up, and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about today, some of the confirmation. So first of all, if you're joining us here on YouTube and this is your first time ever finding My Waifu Me, like somehow you stumbled into our podcast before you stumbled into any of our content, make sure you check out all of our other content on our channel. We do manga hauls, we do manga collection videos, we do manga shopping videos, we do honestly anything involving manga, mostly short form, somewhere in the 10 to 30 minute range, right? So we're hopefully posting at least once a week. That's been our goal since we started this channel. We're going to try to get maybe into a more regular 2 or 3 times a week. It just depends. But if you aren't already on board with our channel, make sure that you go and check that out. And then obviously, leave us a like, leave us a comment, leave us a subscription. If you really want to turn the bell on, go for it. We're a lot of fun. If that's something where you just want the bell, if you're just a bell kind of person, smack that bell, give it a little go. But here's the special thing about this specific content is all of our videos that we're labeling as Manga Musings, which is the name of this podcast, we're going to be uploading onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth. And what that means is that if you guys want to help us out, let's say you're watching this on YouTube, which we're going to drop it first. If you want to, go over to your favorite podcast listening platform, drop us a 5-star rating, drop us a, if you know, I mean, obviously you haven't listened to this first podcast yet, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but if you never like what you listen to throughout this podcast, jump on over to your favorite podcast platform and drop us a 5-star rating, press follow, do all those things. Even if maybe you're not listening on that platform, maybe you're choosing to listen over on YouTube, great. Doing that will help our podcast to grow in the algorithms on those channels, right? So just doing that is a great way to show support if you're liking what we're doing here and if you're liking this type of content. That's pretty much all the shilling. And I'm going to try to do that at the end of each episode from this point forward. But like Waifu said, we're going to be doing these probably monthly-ish. Don't.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, exactly. The main thing is that we felt like the reading log videos we were doing, and we felt like some of that stuff was just a little bit. I mean, it was girthy. Is the word I want. It was a little girthy. It's a little girthy, right?
It was.
So when you've got something that's like a little bit tougher, we thought, okay, let's package it a little differently. Let's see if people can enjoy it a little bit more as this format, because you're just going to get a little bit of a different vibe. It's, something to throw on in the background while you're doing some other work, whatever it might be. And you kind of get to sit with us and actually talk with us and actually hear us. We're going to get in depth to some of these manga that we've been reading and maybe some anime as well. I don't know. I do have a podcast for that as well.
Nerdy shit.
I do have a podcast for that part as well.
Yeah, I don't want to steal content from your other podcasts or anything. But what can we say? I mean, we're kind of like low key weebs, I guess. I don't know. This hat isn't very low key, but I am gonna admit that it's very aggressively weeby, but I don't know if I'd wear it in public, except maybe at like a con.
Right.
I
wear this shirt in public, and it's nerdy. But
Jerry only wears Funko Pop shirts. Yeah, that's just kind of his MO.
Okay, so like Waifu said before, we're kind of going to break it down every time that we do this. We're going to break it down into kind of some categories. We're going to talk a little about some news and new releases. And we want to do that just because we don't really talk about that on our channel. Stuff that's coming out, stuff that we're excited about, things that are sort of just things that are on the horizon. And we're going to start with that. And then we'll jump into just some of the stuff we've actually been reading, which for me is not a lot for Waifu.
I mean, I've kind of slowed down in recent months. And if you have kept up with our videos on YouTube, you know that we both actually have had career changes lately.
We did.
In the past 3 months for both of us.
We did.
So that's been a lot just for both of us to go through that in a very small amount of time. Because also, if you didn't know, we both work full time. So doing the channel and then also having just full-time job work outside of that.
Right.
It is kind of hard to balance sometimes. So we definitely do our best to get the content out there, but that is why we took a pretty extended break.
Yeah, we took a month off. We took 1 month off a little bit ago. So we took a full month. But
and that's fine. And I think people deserve to take time off when they need to. I think moving forward, we're excited to really get back into our content and get some of this exciting stuff out there, especially this podcast. So let's start with some news and some upcoming releases. I mean, what have we got?
Let's do it. Okay. So here's the deal. There's really only 2 manga coming out over the next month or so that are brand new, that we don't own at all, any volumes of, that I have on our list of stuff that's coming out that we need to kind of keep our eyes open. The first is coming from Viz Media, and that's Record of Ragnarok. And now,
I'm definitely excited.
Yeah.
So I know we don't really talk about anime on our channel, but we did watch the Netflix anime, and my God, it was bad, but it was so so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a type of person that really likes mythology,
Right.
and history and stuff like that. So it was really cool for me to see, Norse gods and, Valkyries and, these historical figures in just a really goofy and fun show. I mean, it was just fun. Yeah, it wasn't the best animated. It wasn't, the best. I think we watched it dubbed, didn't we?
We did.
The dub, it was actually okay.
Yeah,
we watched it dubbed to kind of get through it a little bit faster, because sometimes with subs, I mean, you do have to read. You have to put that energy into reading.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when we're working full-time jobs and, we work in education, it's like, all we do is read. So sometimes we need to really sit back and just kind of veg out and watch a dub. It's not our favorite thing to do, but...
I feel like we pretty much only watch dub if it's something that we do not want to be fully focused on, right? If there's like any intention in our mind that's like, we might not want to like have our full attention on that for the entirety of that series, we're like, okay, we'll throw the dub on. Or if it's maybe something we've already read or seen before. So like when we were watching Shaman King, we went ahead and did the dub. That's because I've seen the old anime. We've both read the entire manga. So we were like, okay, we don't need to be fully focused on this series. We're able to enjoy it in the English dub, and then if we need to check our phone or do something while we're watching it, we can do that. We won't miss anything. Yeah, we won't miss too much. So that's important when that. So yeah, Ragnarok though, for those unfamiliar, it is a series about a tournament between gods and humans that is taking place essentially on this otherworld plane, and they've summoned these fighting humans from all across time, and they have been summoned to this tournament, and gods from multiple. I think it's from. Essentially, like multiple
pantheons, I think is what you would call it.
I don't know the word.
Kind of. I don't
know. Like
are
Thor and who's the water guy? Poseidon? Are those from the same? No. Are those from different mythologies?
They are from different mythologies. Thor is from Norse mythology, and Poseidon is from Greek mythology.
And
so
Thor and Poseidon are both fighting in this.
Well, yeah,
they're both in there.
They're all like beefy and okay. But the funniest thing I think too was some of the gods. It's maybe they weren't portrayed as they would typically be portrayed, because we have the idea of Thor as kind of like burly and muscular with a big beard, and then Thor's kind of just like.
Well, they made him sexy.
They made him a sexy boy.
Yeah,
he had this like long red hair.
Simon was also kind of made him sexy too.
No hair or anything.
Kind of made them all sexy.
Yeah, they were all kind of looking hot.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, just the interpretation of some of these figures of mythology and of history. I would say that the humans were probably a little more toned down than the gods, but I mean, it is just a tournament arc. I mean, the whole show is a tournament.
It's a big fight.
Yeah,
it's a big fighting tournament.
It's entertaining. Like I was saying, it's really entertaining, and it is a really great show to just turn on and sit back and just enjoy.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot to it. I mean, there is just the fighting. For the most part, it's like, oh, who's going to fight next? And then who's going to fight this person later? And are the humans going to win? Because they're trying to determine, do humans deserve to exist? And if the humans lose too much, the gods have agreed to just wipe out humanity.
Right.
So that's kind of the premise of the show.
Yeah.
And we got through, 3 fights? 4 fights? I can't remember.
Poseidon and the samurai. And Thor. And
Adam and
Zeus. Isn't that
Is it Zeus?
It's Zeus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Zeus.
Yeah. I think that was the only 3 that you get in the first season, but
yeah.
So we're excited for the manga to have physically. We're going to go ahead and grab it. Obviously, we know a lot of the early part of the story because we already watched the anime. We're still excited to give it a shot, and the artwork is much better. So. Second series, not much. I actually think the artwork in the anime is great. It's the animation that struggles.
Yeah,
in the anime.
the animation.
It's the actual, the keyframes, the things that, that's the issue with that season of that show. The artwork actually looks really solid in the anime. They actually did a pretty good job matching it. It was just mainly that a lot of things just weren't animated all the way, and that kind of caused some compounding issues beside the point. The only other series that is its first volume that we're also probably going to pick up, and I literally know nothing about it, is Under Ninja by Dimpa. And the reason I plan to pick it up is because it's the same author that created I Am a Hero. And he also created another manga that I've read before. I can't remember the name of that one. I read it a long time ago. It's an earlier manga of his. It involves like an AI girlfriend. It's weird. But I'm a Hero is great. It's considered sort of a classic. And I have only read volume 1 of I'm a Hero. But Under Ninja looks even more interesting. I think it involves parkour and inner city, sort of urban hip hop, sort of that. But I think there's like like an edgy twist to it. I don't know what else to call it. But yeah, so we're going to definitely grab that one. Denpa doesn't put out a ton of books. So I think that'll be a fun one to pick up. I don't know, wife. Do you know anything about that? Or
I don't know anything about it really, but it will be interesting to see what Denpa does with it because, like you said, they don't really put out a lot. And
they don't.
I think the only stuff that we really own from them is maybe some Oshimi stuff.
Yeah, Inside Mari's Denpa.
Yeah.
And I
don't know.
I like genuinely am like
yeah, they're really not a major publishing company the way Viz and Kodansha are. So
yeah,
they kind of just put out stuff whenever they might. Do they do more art books than manga?
No, they do a lot of manga. Yeah. It's just I can't think of what all they do off the top of my head.
That's okay.
We don't collect a lot of their books, is all.
Yeah, it sounds interesting though. I think it's definitely worth a try. So we'll probably pick up the first volume and we'll review it later on this podcast. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely a first impression. Yeah, I'm about to say absolutely, and hopefully throughout this we have a couple other volume ones that we've already purchased that we've set aside as like, oh, this will be fun ones for first impressions later down the line. So yeah, I'm excited to talk more about that. There are some one-offs coming off over the next 2 months. We actually saw one of these in stores. We actually saw both these in stores already. We haven't purchased them yet, so don't they might make it into the haul by the end of the month. You never know. So you guys will have to keep your eyes peeled if it ends up in the haul, if we end up picking it up. The first is Deserter. That's the newest Junji Ito story collection. We're obviously going to get that. If you've seen any other videos, we own all of the physical versions of Junji Ito's that are easy to get, is the word I would use. There's some older collected versions of Ito that exist that are much tougher to get your hands on. There's some Uzumaki singles. There's some old Junji Ito story collection that were published by an older printing company. Beside the point, most of the newer Viz prints we have all of, and they all look great. So we'll get Deserter.
Yeah,
right?
It looks good. We saw it.
Deserter.
Okay, it's over.
Sorry. Okay, so you're excited to read it.
Oh yeah, well, I'm excited to read any Junji Ito.
Yes.
I mean, we're really big fans, and it's so we were just talking about this the other day that he is really one of the very few mangaka that have kind of a public personality, and he's done a lot of weird little skits and videos with Crunchyroll and Viz, and it's really interesting.
People are fans of him.
Yeah,
they're actually fans of like Ito himself. It's not like unlike some other manga, they like keep their face in. No, Ito himself is a great fella, and he draws scary ass shit. Okay,
I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with him as a person, but you have to wonder. It's like, right? He's so pleasant, but he creates the most fucked up shit.
Oh, it's messed up.
And you don't know where it comes from because he does these interviews and he's just like, it's me, Ito-san. And he's like, cats, yay. And you're just like, who are you? Like, are you really creating this? Like, this man created Gyo?
Yeah.
What? I mean, that's probably the most grotesque thing I have ever read, manga-wise.
Yeah, aside from the short story he did where, where the guy squeezes all those pimples out.
That's really disgusting, too. I definitely do not like that one.
Some crazy shit's happening in that man's head. That's all I know.
Yeah.
So, Dessert is coming out, or it's already out. We actually saw it when we were shopping recently. We didn't pick it out, we did not purchase it yet, but it may end up in our haul before the end of December, but it is already on shelves here in December. So you guys can already go and find Deserter if you're looking for that. There's a couple other, and the next one that's also a standalone, Lupin the Third. We saw this already. It's a hardcover collected edition being put out by 7 Seas. And it's not, this is not like from the beginning. They're not publishing all of Lupin the Third. They're calling it Lupin the Third's Greatest Hits. It's kind of unfortunate. If you don't know, Tokyo Pop produced a version of Lupin the Third a long time ago, long before we were like serious into collecting. May have been when I was a kid. And Tokyo Pop had done a version. They actually tried publishing, I think, most of the actual manga itself. I don't think they completed the entire series, so that's unfortunate. And now 7 Seas has kind of regained the license and is putting out one collected edition to start. I don't know if they're going to go back and print the whole series. The collected edition looks awesome. We saw it in person today. Looks awesome. Definitely going to be a pickup from us because Waifu's not like a fan, really. I don't know what. Like
It's not because I don't like it. It's because I just really haven't ever exposed myself to it, if that makes sense. Although we did watch the very first episode of the anime.
Yeah, the OG
and it was
anime.
definitely, whatever her name is, the main.
Fujiko?
Yeah.
Fujiko?
Yeah, Fujiko. She was having some pretty, Yamate moments.
Oh, she says it.
She says it.
Go watch the first episode of Lupin the Third. She's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just, I was like, oh Lord. I mean,
That's
she had
where the meme
like
comes
the
from.
hands tied up like, above her head. And,
Fujiko is the Yamate meme. That's what she is.
Yeah, she really
She is the Yamate meme.
And as a woman, I was just a little like, oh. So this is the characterization we're going for.
This is what we're doing here.
But I've always heard great things, and I definitely need to sit down and watch at least Castle Cagliostro, and maybe
Kaggle?
some of Kaggle of Kaggle.
Okay, yeah.
Castle of Cagliostro, and maybe some of the more recent anime seasons. I think maybe more of the modern stuff would be more appealing to me. I don't know, but the volume did look very nice. We've slowly begun to realize that Seven Seas is actually a pretty damn good publishing company. Don't say.
Webbin Wheeze.
No.
Webbin Wheeze. Webbin Wheeze.
Why does he say Web and Wheeze? Why? I don't understand.
When something is goated, you throw a W on the front. When something is lame, you throw an L on the front.
Lodansha?
Lodansha, Webbin Wheeze. Lodansha, Webbin Wheeze. Lodansha doesn't publish Tokyo Revengers. Webbin Wheeze publishes Tokyo Revengers. That's what we know. That's just the way it works. Webbin Wheeze is the winner.
Raise your hand if you think Lodansha, I almost said it, Lodansha made a terrible mistake with Tokyo Revengers.
Honestly, they were on that shit dansha. That's what we've been calling it. Shit dansha. That's what they're reviving it. Whatever. Lupin is, I think, going to be fire volume. I hope they do a couple more. In a dream world, Levin Weeze puts out the whole series, and they collect the original, the Monkey Punch's original. I want to say it's over 20 volumes of the original, but I could be wrong. I've never actually read the OG manga. I'm mainly a fan of Lupin Part 3. That's the one that was really popular here in the US. I grew up on it. It is his Red Jacket season. So that's the third season. And I've seen Part 5 as well. And I've gone back and watched some of Part 1 and 2, plus the films. I've seen a bunch of the movies. And Cagliostro is obviously one of the superior movies, thanks to the great Hayao Miyazaki. But if you're not familiar with Lupin, this could be a fun way to start. That's the way that I look at it. If you've never read Lupin, you've never watched Lupin, pick up this hardback and see if you like it. I mean, it's $20. Grab it, see if you like it. If you do, maybe you go seek out the Tokyo Pops Up. Maybe you watch the animes. Whatever. It's Lupin. Enjoy it. Couple more. Oh,
You mean Whoopon?
Lupin the third. Now I'm going to just run through. So that's all like the new stuff. The rest of this is stuff we picked up volumes of, but it's stuff we're excited for over December and January. The rest of December and January.
Oh yeah.
From Viz, we've got Golden Kamuy with a new volume. Exciting.
We also saw it, and I was like, like, do I pick it
You're
up?
caught up, so
I know.
you could. It would be like actually new reading material for you. You've read all 23.
I have been strong in not yo-ho-hoing it online because I have
Yo-ho-ho
so much,
is like a pirate.
Yeah,
Like a pirate. Like a pirate.
yeah.
Arg.
Pirate's life for me. Yo-ho-ho. Yeah. Reading it illegally online is what we mean.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for that series
I got so much respect. I'm gonna read it legally.
that I'm not going to do that to that series.
Yeah.
Because I love Golden Kamuy, if you didn't know.
Yes.
So definitely excited for that, and I know in Japan at least that it is heading towards a conclusion for the series as a whole.
I think it'll be. I think I read that it might come in closer to like 30 volumes total when it's finally done. If it ends up wrapping up by the end of before the end of next year, which is totally possible.
Is kind of weird because this is volume 24, so that's not too far away.
No, yeah, I think we're only like 2 or 3 volumes behind the Japanese release. I think they have 27 out maybe, and then I think we're gonna get like 3 more. That's my guess, but It could be a little past 30. It wouldn't surprise me either.
But also, too, the fourth season of the anime got announced as well.
Yay! Because that's the only way that I watch it.
Yeah, that's the only way.
I don't read the manga. I just watch the anime, which I love the anime, but I haven't read any of the Gold Kamuy manga. Okay, a lot more to go, so we'll spitball these. Fist North Star Volume 3, classic. Thoughts?
Yay! I want to read it.
Yay!
I want to read it. I
Great.
haven't yet.
We will. And might be a good one to talk about. I'm familiar with Fist North Star from the anime. Never read the manga. My Senikoku 6, that's for you, obviously. That's coming out. And we actually saw that one in person, too.
Yeah, we saw that one in person also.
Already out.
It's like a pretty cute cover. Mm-hmm. She's like in a bathing suit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think January we're going to get Undead Unluck 5, which I've been reading. Waifu, you haven't picked up yet, but I've read the first 3. I haven't read 4 yet, even though I do have it. Need to read it before I grab 5 next month. Freyren Volume 2, that's one we're actually going to probably load up as a first impressions later on this podcast. If you watched our hauls, you saw we picked up Freyren Volume 1. It's a new series. It's got a lot of praise, so we're going to check that one out later. And House Husband 7 from Viz. So that wraps up Viz's releases over the next 2 weeks. 2 months. We also have from Shit Dancing themselves, the conclusion of Boys Run the Riot, which is Boys Run the Riot 4. Waifu, I know you're probably excited. You read 1 through 3 already?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm caught up with it. I definitely have enjoyed it a lot. I didn't really know much going into it, except knowing that there was LGBTQ themes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll probably binge it later.
You should. No, I mean, it's a really easy read, but it's very endearing too, and especially with the way Japan is culturally, that kind of stuff is hard for them to talk about. It's hard for them to confront, really, and they are pretty. I mean, we're not the best as a country either for LGBTQ people, but they are still behind where we're at. So I think it's really amazing that a trans author has been able to, just get their story out there,
right,
and also get it to America too.
Yeah,
like that's incredible.
Awesome collected volumes, honestly.
Yeah.
And then also from Shit Dancia, Blood on the Track 7 and 8. Yes, right now 7 and 8 are scheduled to release. 7 got super delayed into essentially almost crossing over with 8's release. 7 is now on shelves. We've seen it. It's on shelves. I'm not convinced 8's going to come out in December. I think it could end up in January, which is unfortunate. But 9's supposed to come out in March. We need to catch up to the Japanese release, which is all the way on like 12, I think. So hopefully we do. You and I have read the first 6 of the English collect. We both are not. We love Oshimi. We're not going to read it illegally online. We're going to wait for the physical. Even though I did read all of Welcome Back, Alice, and I read all. I read a lot of his other sides, stuff that's not in English yet. I did read.
Where's the respect?
I read Welcome Back, Alice when it had not been announced that they're going to do physicals.
That's fair.
The physicals have been announced now. We plan to purchase them, obviously, because we love Oshimi. Yes. So Blood on the Tracks 7 and 8, which, if you haven't read Blood on the Tracks, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's great. Blood on the Tracks 7 and 8. Flower Beam, great. Check it out.
A little triggering, though.
It's
just know Oshimi is one of those authors that has some, content that you're like, just be careful,
Oh, Inside Mari's a little triggering?
Well, I don't know if I would use triggering for Inside Mari. It's just...
No, Inside Mari is weird.
But it's weird.
It's weird.
It's weird.
It's sexual.
Yeah. It's
weird.
It's very sexual.
It's something.
Yeah.
Great. Shaman King Omnibus 6, obviously. I think that one's... Didn't we already see that one too?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay, yeah.
Wait, the one with Faust on the cover? Or is there another one?
No, I think it's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Yeah, we've already seen
physically.
We have not... But it wasn't there today, which is weird. It's like they only got a limited amount. It's whatever.
Yeah, there was only maybe 5. We're talking about Kino Kuniya.
Sorry, yeah. But Shaman King Omnibus still Shit Dancia, and then Sign of Affection 4, obviously, we'll have to pick up from all Shit Dancia. Yes. Because Waifu's loved volumes 1 through 3.
It's great. Again, shout out to Laura.
Laura, if you're listening, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's been a solid suggestion.
It's I've said this before too. I'm not super big on romance, but when I can find a romance, it's definitely like, oh, this is really nice. I'm a fan.
Right. Okay, so from Wev and Weeze themselves, obviously we got to grab Kageki Shoujo 3.
Oh.
Waifu has loved it so far.
I love it. If you love theater, if you love musical theater, if you love performing or anything, I mean, it's definitely the series for you, and that's, I think, where I relate to it.
That's a really cool protagonist, in my opinion.
Yeah.
She's great.
I love the protagonist a lot, and especially as you get to know her background a little bit too.
Right.
You get to learn more about maybe where some of her insecurities come from too.
Yep.
And she deals with a lot of things that I think people who go into acting also deal with, is that, you need to develop your own style and not necessarily copy somebody else's. That's a pretty big theme that's brought up at this point in the released volumes.
Mm-hmm.
I also really want to go back and watch the anime too, because we watched the first episode or two.
Yeah.
And it was looking gorgeous. I don't know which studio it was, but it was really nice. And
yeah, we got to go back and watch it.
we have to. I mean, it is technically kind of like a shoujo series, but I think anybody could read it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the first episode. Mm-hmm. Also from Lemon Wee's Die Dark 3, this is another waifu wheelhouse. The same author as Dora Hidoro.
Yeah.
I have not jumped into Die Dark. She liked 1 and 2. We're definitely going to get 3, but I haven't tried it yet, so...
Yeah, I mean...
It's vibes.
It is vibes. It's dark sci-fi. I mean, it's the same realm as Dora Hidoro. Maybe not as much magic.
Right.
As Dora Hidoro. And we only tried the anime for that one, too, so... It would be nice to find the manga for Dora Hidoro, but it's just hard to fill in the gaps with a lot of the volumes. So we have volume 1, and but there's 22 others and 23.
We're not going to get ahead of Dora Hidoro.
Let's not even talk about it. Actually, but if you can't find Dora Hidoro, I would say Die Dark is really good replacement for that.
Yeah, same author. So
if you like dark fantasy, but again, a little gory. So if you don't like that, probably not for you.
Agreed. Okay. Dinpa, Inside Mari 8, another Oshimi, finally 8, and we're supposed to get 9 like pretty quick after because 8 got delayed. I hope they both come out because 9 is the conclusion of the series. So we have, I don't know, this one I should have just yo-ho-ho'd, but we both read 1 through 7.
I think you almost did, though.
I almost did, and then I stopped myself. I don't know why I haven't just read the last 2. I probably should. It's what we did with Platinum Inn. We just read the last one online because that's like not coming out until March for the finale.
It wasn't yo-ho-ho'd either. It was
legal.
Viz.
We watched it
yeah.
And you can actually legally read Inside Mari through Crunchyroll if you have a subscription. They actually own the rights digitally, so you can read it digitally on their platform. It's like one of their they have like 15 manga, and it's like one of them happens to be Inside Mari. So, if anyone wants to read the conclusion that way, they can. But please collect the volumes from Dinpa. It helps. Other than that, we've got from Yin Press, Interspecies Reviewer 6.
That's all you.
All me. It's something. Don't if you are under the age of 18, don't purchase Interspecies Reviewer. The manga is a lot more tame than the anime series. So if you're familiar with the anime, it's way more tame. In the manga, it's much more focused on the comedy and the humor of it, but it is still sex comedy is the word I would use, right? So just understand that, especially if you're a parent. Please don't buy your kids Interspecies Reviewers.
Oh God, who would do that?
It would confuse parents who don't know what they're being
they
handed.
Don't know what it is.
Yeah, they don't know what's in their hand.
Wait, didn't you say there was some?
Oh my God!
You had a good story about that.
Oh my God! Okay, so this is some funny stuff, yo. Okay, so Waifu, you've read Given, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a boys' love, right? It's about
BL.
guys.
Boys
it's
love.
about
Sublime.
Just guys loving each other.
Sublime, the publisher of
and
BL.
I don't think it's like yaoi or anything. It's not like it's not sexual, right?
Not really.
No. Okay.
It's more cute and like, we're dating.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it's still an interesting, and I think it's awesome.
I've only read 2 volumes.
I think this is awesome.
Maybe there's more.
But there's a local politician here in where we're from in Dallas that his daughter is clearly a connoisseur of BL. Because, and I only know this because the fact that my boy, this politician, he tweeted like at Kinokuniya because he is like over. You guys gotta I wish I could show you a picture.
But we won't.
No, we won't.
We won't.
He tweeted like at Kinokuniya. It'd be easy to find. He's a public figure.
Anyway,
if you can find him on Twitter, tweeted at Kinokuniya. Just picked up some manga with my daughter, and he posted like a photo. He like tweeted a photo of the manga she picked up. It was just all BL, and I lost my. I was like, no, dude. I was like, he has no.
Funny.
I was like, this man has no idea what is in those books. He will not open them. He was like, really excited to support my local Kinokuniya store by going with my daughter to go pick out some books with her. I was cracking up, yo, like.
When Jerry
there's like a
that,
photo.
I was like,
there's like a second photo where he tweeted.
Know.
He like tweeted a picture of his daughter in the store, and I'm like, his daughter's got to be like in high school or something. She's reading BL. I'm sure it's fine. I don't think it's like 18 plus BL. The ones that I saw in the photo,
it's not like
I don't think they were.
It's not like they're checking IDs or whatever
no.
when they're
I mean, so at the end of the day, it's just romance series, but it's just funny to me because I don't know what he stands for as a politician, but I don't know if it, like, if his base knows what that's I don't know if they're like, because this is a Texas politician.
Yeah,
so it's still,
you never know what you're gonna get in Texas.
It's comical to me that he posts that. Whatever. At least it wasn't like I'm just happy it wasn't like prison school or something like.
God.
Just pick these up with my daughter, and he like shows off like prison school or like interspecies review. That would be hilarious.
Or just straight up hentai.
Just actually, yeah. It's Dick Fight Island.
No,
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I hope he does that. I hope that happens. I hope that if he held up Dick Fight Island, he would at least question it before you sent the picture. Like,
well, it literally
he'd be
has
like,
the word dick on it.
It's got dick on the cover.
Yeah, that would be a little questionable.
That would have been wild.
Sure.
But that's right next. The Dick Fight Island and Given are right next to each other, like on the shelf at Kinokuniya. Yeah. And Given was in the picture, so I'm like, this man definitely saw Dick Fight Island. Like he saw it. It was right there. So like he definitely saw it. Unless his daughter went and grabbed it and brought it to him or something. I don't know. It was just comical. If you guys can find it on Twitter, it's funny. Also, Hanako's next volume comes out in January. So Hanako 12. We buy and collect Hanako. I've only read the first 2 or 3 2. I think I read the first 2. Mm-hmm. Waifu's caught up. I think. Have you read 11 yet or no?
Caught up now. Yeah, I fell behind on 10 and 11, and then shortly after I bought 11. I finally caught up and read both of those, and it finally wrapped up the arc it was on. It was like a multi-volume arc, and the author hadn't done that before, so I was actually pretty like sad that I couldn't just read it all at once, and I had to wait for the volumes to come out, and one of them got delayed pretty bad. I think it was 10 got delayed.
It did.
By a couple weeks.
But then 11 came out super fast after.
Yeah, but 11 came out on time as far as I know.
Right.
But yeah, Hanako is great. Also another one that I really want to look at the anime because it was really well received as well, animation wise, and people were pretty happy with it. So I'd love to see that adaptation eventually. I don't know. They probably couldn't do the whole thing, so it makes me wonder if they're going to make more as well.
Yeah.
With that.
I can see it. So that's it from Yen Press for us. And then lastly from Square Enix, which is they publish manga too,
yes,
guys.
They do.
Beauty and the Feast Volume 2 and Soul Eater Volume 5 of the Perfect Editions. I read one, you read the other. Yep. Soul Eater, I'm caught up on the Perfects. I've never read the official manga. I watched the anime as a kid. Wanted to read the manga. Have enjoyed the first 4 of the Perfect Editions. Definitely am going to be excited for 5. And for you, Beauty and the Feast.
Yeah. Well, there's only one that has come out so far.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I liked it. I thought it was cute. It is weird. I feel like the covers suggest something different than what the story actually is.
I think that I think in general from the cover, it looks like a very large age difference, which sometimes can cause a bit of concern in manga readers because it's done. It's not a prominent theme, but occasionally there are romance series that are written with a large age difference. And I think at first you think that's what this is, but to my understanding, it's really not about a romance. It's more like
as far as I understand,
almost like a child-mother.
Yeah, almost like a surrogate mother type of thing. And she's widowed too, so she really just wants to be able to cook for somebody, take care of somebody.
Right.
And this kid just happens to need that in his life. So I think that's kind of nice.
Isn't that cutesy feel good?
Yeah, it is a little more feel good than, but I do feel like the covers are misleading. They just feel a little more
romancy.
Yeah. I mean, the second one, you guys should go look it up. I mean, he's like in a bed and she's like feeding him food. And I'm like, that's maybe a little too intimate for what this actually is.
Unless it gets weird. Unless it gets weird.
I don't know. I'm gonna read it.
With some manga, you never know. Like you start, it's like normal, and then you get, and you're like, oh wait, this got weird. This got weird.
Yeah. I'll report back my findings.
Please do.
I'll let y'all know.
Please do. Okay, so that's actually all of the manga for December and January that we're excited about. So here's what I want you guys to do listening at home. I want you to get in the comments. Tell me, is there stuff that you're excited for in December and January?
Oh, yeah.
Physical manga releases or digital manga releases, if that's the case. Let us know in the comments down below. Especially if it's something that wasn't on our list. Or if there's something on our list that you are also excited for, fantastic. Let us know that as well. But we'd love to hear from you guys because there's some manga that we missed. There's manga that we don't know about, manga we haven't started, manga we haven't tried before. So obviously they're not going to be on our list to pick up because we just don't know about them. Yeah. So is there anything coming out in December or January from these main publishers? The main publishers that we go to are Viz, Kodansha, Seven Seas, Dempa, Yimpress, Square Enix. Those are the ones that are publishing a large. Dark Horse as well. We don't have anything from Dark Horse we're picking up next month, but mainly because we buy Berserk. That's mainly it.
Yeah.
But yes. Okay.
There we go.
That's a wrap on news. So let's move on. let's talk about some reading log stuff. Waifu, what have you been reading lately?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So I'd say the main thing that I've been reading is Inuyasha. So just a little background on that. I never watched the anime growing up. I never really got into it.
This is like your first time.
This is my first time being exposed to Inuyasha.
That's crazy.
But I mean, it's been great because I've read a lot of the other works that she's done, like Maison and Mermaid Saga. So far
you're exposed to Ranma. You read it as a kid as well.
I did actually read Ranma as a kid. So that was my first Takahashi work that I read.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I read it in like Western style where it was left to right and
they flipped it. Yeah. The old Inuyasha was flipped too. The original print. The original print of Inuyasha was they had flipped the boxes.
We see old Inuyasha sometimes, and it's that Western style print. So Ranma half is the first Takahashi work that I ever read. But somehow I never really watched any of the Adult
Ranma's
Swim.
kind of horny.
It is.
Kind of horny.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's a little horny, and I think it confused me a lot as a kid. Anyway,
it was something.
Yeah, I never really got into Adult Swim animes or anything either, so that's why I never really watched Inuyasha or anything. Which makes sense. I don't know if I would have vibed with it as a kid because there is some violence and at least in the manga, there's actually some nudity too, which is surprising. Mainly topless women, which is surprising because the author is.
Rumiko might be kind of horny. That might be what we've learned. I think that's what I've yeah.
She really might be. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But so as of a couple days ago, I have read 1 and 2 of the Visbig editions.
Sick.
So, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it's definitely, a good shonen. I think she just does so well with pacing and the story flow and. Yeah, it's kind of a simple plot because, if I'm sure you probably know, I don't know. I don't know how many people are exposed to Inuyasha really, but they have this jewel and it breaks and there's fragments anywhere and it's kind of causing this scourge of demons because the jewels get lodged in them.
The Shikon jewel.
Yeah, the Shikon jewel.
My dude Naraku's got to go and
so it's pretty simple.
It is.
But it's fun. I mean, it's
old school shonen.
Yeah,
that's the best way I can describe it.
It is a good way to describe that. And I think I was also pretty surprised by just the way she's able to draw monsters and creatures, especially coming from reading Ranma half and then in present times reading Maison Ikoku.
It's a little different.
It's very different. I mean, I kind of got a glimpse of it reading Mermaid Saga because she has some creatures in there. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool and sometimes it's grotesque to a point. Definitely more mature than I realized it was. Because...
Yeah, but then there's demons like Shishomaru.
Shishomaru.
He's sexy.
Yeah, he's a sexy demon.
For some reason, Rumiko was like... She was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna make all this nasty shit," and then
she was like, "One guy,
Inuyasha's brother, it's just over,
She had to have one guy that all the girls simped after, I mean, it's just you gotta have that in shonen.
As Chase says, Shishomaru,
Shishomaru. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when they get all the jewel fragments and what's past that. Because, I mean, it's long. She writes pretty long series.
She does.
And Inuyasha, I mean, is obviously one of her longest ones.
Right.
And, it can't just be about these jewels the whole time, in my opinion. Don't tell me. Nobody tell me. But, it's fun. And I wish that I had watched the anime or read the manga when I was younger just to get exposed to it. Because I feel like everybody else did. But then now that I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, why were kids watching this? Or, I don't know how the anime was adapted. Do you remember if there was...
It is.
If it was like...
There's a reason it was on Adult Swim. No, I don't think it was. I remember it having blood, gore, and tits.
Yeah.
I remember blood, gore, and tits from growing up. I do. If that's the main thing that you're talking about. Yeah. I remember the anime does have that. I mean, it's definitely... It's not like an adult show, but that era of Shonen Jump was like... this is not a Shonen Jump title, but I think it was Shonen Sunday.
Yeah.
Could be one of the other Shonen magazines, I can't remember. But that that era, those eras of shonen, you have to remember, like, Fist the North Star was a shonen title. And that one's got, like, popping heads.
Yeah.
And, like, the gruesomeness scale was just a lot higher then. And now we've got My Hero, My Hero Smacademia. Just, it's just a little toned down. We're in the era of just things being a lot more toned down. And I think that's important to remember. But, yeah, I don't know. What else? Anything else about other series you read, or was that it? What about Inuyasha? Anything else?
No, that's about it with Inuyasha. And I guess I haven't ever really talked about that I read stuff weekly for the most part on the Shonen Jump app.
Never.
But
no, I'm joking.
I don't think I have though, like on our
We've
channel.
mentioned it during reading logs.
Yeah, we've mentioned it before. I haven't caught up with anything except for One Piece for a couple weeks.
Right.
Again, just that aspect of just, change and adapting, and I plan to catch up over this winter break, I think, just with some of it. But, I read Black Clover and Jujutsu Kaisen and One Piece, Spy Family, and Kaiju when it comes out, because those are only, bi-weekly or monthly.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I haven't started any of the new Shonen Jump series. But I know Jerry's read the first couple chapters of some of the new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm caught up on Yashimon and Dororon, whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
I tried Red Hood and Naru when they came out. When new stuff drops, you just try it, and if it gets canceled, it gets canceled. So be it.
Yeah, I did read through Red Hood.
You loved it?
No, I didn't love it. Don't put that on me. No, it was just sad. I mean,
so you canceled it. You were the one.
I am the one who personally canceled.
Yeah, I knew it, wife. I knew it.
I went over to Japan and I physically canceled it.
You're done for.
No, it was sad. I mean, I think it had good potential to start, but it's like the second canceled series that I've read in the last year or two. Because
you were into some
Seer.
of the. Oh, Phantom Seer.
Phantom Seer is the other one that I tried too, and then it got canceled. So maybe I do bring a curse.
You read some of Untitled Chapter, right?
I did, but it was kind of cringy to me.
It got canceled.
It got canceled too.
It's classic.
If I touch it, it's canceled anyway. No. Yeah, but I mean, Red Hood was just obviously you could tell it's only 18 chapters, and they rushed to the ending, and I feel like it could have been cool if it had been paced better, still reaching that ending.
Well, I talk about,
but
I mean, I'm sure at chapter 12 or 13, they got notice.
Yeah. And
Jump said, "You're done. Wrap it up."
I mean, you could tell.
And around there is when you notice that they were like, and they just, it starts to, I mean, how else? You're like, okay, I've got 3 or 4 chapters. I've got to do something. So they just make 3 or 4 chapters, they wrap it up, and they're done. They move on. They got to try to publish something else next. It just stinks. That series will never have any sort of legacy. It's just gone. I mean, that series is just gone to the world. It's something that we were exposed to, and it's gone. And that is the weekly Shonen Jump nature. Shueisha's WSJ Weekly Shonen Jump has been doing this forever. 40 years or something. You can go through and you can look at the graveyard of broken dreams. Like, that is what
so
some
sad.
of the... And 2021 especially has felt like absolute cutthroat. There has been...
Even last
constant...
year, too.
I don't know if it's like, I think numbers wise they've only canceled a little bit more in 21 than 2020, but it feels like even more so than ever before, Jump is trying to establish a new status quo, and we're not, we won't get into it too deeply, but it is getting cutthroat, or not getting, it's always been cutthroat. Weekly Shonen Jump has always been cutthroat, but I think that there was a little bit more room to try to become something in some of the olden days of Jump. Sometimes they'd let series go on that probably shouldn't have gone on as long as they did. But we're trying to establish a new era of Jump. And so, Waifu, you read a lot more than I do of those, though. I really only read One Piece pretty much weekly. I have read a splattering of some of the other series like Dr. Stone, Black Clover. We don't read My Hero, but we watch My Hero.
I'm about to start reading My Hero.
Yeah, I might too. I might switch over. We've read a spattering of some of the other series that run in Jump. But for the most part, I read One Piece every week. That's it. I read One Piece, and that's my show. Try to read some of the new stuff here or there.
Yeah, no matter what, without fail, I also read One Piece.
Yeah.
Because it's my favorite. It's our favorite, really.
Yeah. We'll try our best not to be super talkative about it on this, and if we are, we'll try to warn people about spoilers. I know not everyone's caught up on One Piece, and that's, that's fine. We'll try our best not to be super chaotic about spoilers for One Piece, but we will talk about One Piece eventually
we do
on this
love
podcast.
One Piece.
'Cause it's our favorite.
It is our favorite.
Any other things you're reading?
No, not really. I mean, we're going to probably talk about Pun Pun together, though, because that is...
We're going to probably say Pun Pun for an episode when we both finished the manga, because
Yeah.
it's too far along to be a first impressions. But
yeah,
we want to get a good...
Jerry finished it the other
We need to get a good
night.
talk in on Goodnight Pun Pun. We need to get a good talk in.
We really do.
'Cause-
And I'm only about halfway through the second volume. And like I just said, Jerry finished it just last night. So
Yes.
at the time of this recording.
Yes. Okay, so on that note, Waifu just spoiled it. My main thing I've been reading is I have been kind of getting through Goodnight Pun Pun. If you watch the Dark Sages YouTube channel, on his secondary channel, I also read a pretty hefty amount of Tokyo Ghoul. I'm not going to repeat my opinions on that series here. Just know it's not my favorite. And I'm sorry to all the Tokyo Ghoul fans. I read about 8 volumes of it. I haven't finished the first half. I haven't read any of Re, obviously. I still need to complete the end of it so that Chase and I can do our live stream where we talk about the series. He already read it a while ago, and I'm way behind. But we were supposed to read volumes 9 through, I think it's 14 to conclude. Is it 9 through 14? 14, maybe?
14, I think.
So, 9 through 14. I had 6 volumes I needed to read to finish the first half, and then we were going to have a big discussion about it. We didn't. We had a discussion about volumes 1 through 4 and volumes 5 through 8 on his channel. So if you want to go check that out, you can. But yeah, I hated it. Honestly.
I hated it too when I read it.
I hated it.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I really am sorry to Tokyo Ghoul fans. I don't like it. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it
just
either.
didn't work for me. It didn't hit. And I'm going to finish the first half and then probably cut it there. I don't think I'll read Re. I don't think...
I read the whole thing, and then I tried to read Re, and I was like, I'm done for this. I don't know why I'm continuing to read this when I'm not. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy any of the characters, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't bought in.
Yeah.
I think it's probably good for a younger audience, but, we're in our mid-20s, and it just doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
So
Ghoul, whatever.
Yeah.
It's weird. Tokyo Ghoul's made. It's a seinen. It's supposed to be for adults.
Lol.
Pun Pun. I read all of
Doesn't
it.
feel
I read
like
all
it.
of Pun Pun. I really don't want to get too deep into it, but it is arguably
We'll
it's
have
one of
an
those series
episode.
that volumes 1 through 3. I genuinely was thinking, what's the hype? Where's the hype? Why is this one of the best of all time? Volumes 4 through 7. I slowly deteriorated, lost my shit, and then gave it a 10 out of 10. Like, I don't know how else to, like, that was my mental evolution throughout. So if you've read Pun Pun, I'm talking about the U.S. editions, by the way, because in Japan it was a 13-volume series. We have 6 2-in-1s and a single volume as a 7, so there's 7 total volumes.
Yep.
Again, the first 3 volumes were good, don't get me wrong, and we'll get more into it when Waifu's finished all of it.
Yes.
First 3 volumes were good. I was really into it. I was vibing, but I didn't understand why people were so into this series. I was like, okay, I could see, but I liked it. And I was like, oh, I'm liking this. Volume 4 is when it hit. And I said, I get it. I get it. I get Pun Pun. I get it now. 5, 6, 7 was this downward spiral of emotional, like, turmoil. To the point where, like, as I was flipping through 7 on the couch next to Waifu, I was like, yeah, I'm fucked. I'm fucked,
Yeah.
And that's it, Pun Pun got me. So we'll get really deep into some of the literature aspects and some of the stuff we really liked about it, dig into the story, and do a spoiler discussion in the future. But just know that Pun Pun, I'm going to say it right now, if you're a young adult, you might struggle your way through it, and you might end up kind of overanalyzing it. I think this is an adult series, is the best way I can put it. I think someone in their mid-20s to late 20s might get this the best, because that is truly where the story is situated, perspective-wise, and some of that experience, I think just personal life experience, is going to make you enjoy this series a little bit more. It's a little meandery. I don't know how else to put it. There's a lot of philosophy, psychology. There's a lot built into some of the dialogue that I think if you're young, you're going to think like, oh, I'm so cool for getting it. Like, oh, I get Pun Pun. Just read it when you're older. I think that with a little more experience on your belt, you're going to have a better time kind of digesting some of those high-level concepts in the series. And as such, I think you're going to have a better experience with the series. It may even be a little boring for someone who's young. It may be a little boring for someone who's older. It can be a little on the nose as a series. So that's one of its major downfalls. But that's my first kind of, just so you guys have a basic idea but just know I loved it. And I really did. And I think this could be one of my top 10 manga for sure.
Dang. Yeah.
I first I was hesitant to say that when I read the first couple volumes, but now I'm at this point where I'm like, yeah, I think this is going to be one of those manga that sits with me for a long time. So, yeah, I read that. I also finished. Now you finished it a while ago, but I finished the Conviction Arc of Berserk.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I had not done that yet. I read through, obviously, when I first got all the volumes, I read through. I'm forgetting the name of it. The big arc, the really popular arc, the flashback arc.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we both have lost it right now.
Oh my god.
The major arc in Berserk, the one where everything happens. The Golden Age arc. Sorry,
Thank you.
the Golden Age arc.
God.
So
like
we first
so
bought all.
ridiculous.
I bought all of the volumes right after Miura passed, right after we got news that Miura passed.
Mm-hmm.
I had never read Berserk before. Waifu had never read Berserk before.
Yep.
It's one of those series that we've heard about for years and years and years. Neither of us had ever sat down and just tried it. When Miura passed, I said, I want to do this. I had already been eyeing them since the beginning of the year, and I was like, I should probably pick up the deluxes. I said, F it. Bought all of them that were out at the time. I quickly blazed through the Golden Age arc. Took a pretty hefty break. Didn't really get into Conviction, and then I spattered some of Conviction. I read one of the deluxes on it. I think it's across 3 deluxes, I think. It's either across, or 2.5. I read the rest of the half of the first one, and then a month or so later I read the next one. Then I had one omnibus of the Conviction arc left, and finally over the last month I picked it up, and I just I didn't binge it, but I read one volume, took a little week break, read another volume, took a week break, went back to it, read the last volume.
Yeah.
But I loved it. Waifu, what do you think? So Conviction arc spoilers a little bit. We won't get super deep into it. What did you think of the Conviction arc?
No, I really liked it too, and I think it was a good recovery from the small arc, the Lost Children arc.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's kind of
in between.
considered. I feel like they consider it one big saga, mainly because Farnese actually comes in at the back half of that.
Yeah.
If you remember, so
yeah.
I think that it's considered the Conviction saga or something, and
yeah.
the fairy children or whatever is a part of. I don't really understand how it's broken down, but a lot of people put from the end of the Golden Age all the way until the conclusion of Omnibus 7 as one big thing, and then we're now getting in with Omnibus 8, the Millennium Falcon part, and that's broken up into smaller parts as well. So I don't know.
No, I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think this was a good exposure to the world as a whole, because we've seen it the way it was in the past with the Golden Age arc, and just kingdoms warring and imperial expansion and stuff like that.
Right.
But now we get to see it as it is
right.
in present time, and kind of how Guts interacts with that, and what he is to the current political and religious movements that are going on.
Yeah.
Because after the Golden Age arc, he kind of became this almost what's a good word for it? Just this tall tale, the Black Swordsman.
The Black Swordsman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's become the Black Swordsman at this point.
For some reason, they see him as a villain, and the Falcon, which is obviously Griffith, as more of this good, peaceful image, when we know it's the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I still am a little confused about how that happened and why that's so, but I think we're going to see the tide turn a little bit, especially with
the set has been. I mean, yeah, we've already seen
being with Guts now
at the end of Conviction.
Forward.
Yeah, she's the best.
I think she's going to be able to expose that he is actually the good guy in this case.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. But no, I love this arc. I think it's some of the cleanest paneling. One of my favorite panels is when Guts is finally reunited with Casca. There's a beautiful panel that occurs. It's a full page, and it's Guts appears in front of her. It's white all around them. Beautiful paneling. Some of Miura's artwork is just on fire in this arc specifically.
Yeah. Some
of the most just grandiose fight scenes, and I think that Berserk works best when you have Wild, whatever you say his name. The reason why he was an awesome antagonist is he's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
the preacher guy that was the main antagonist of this arc, he's also a pseudo demon or whatever they call them. I can't remember. There's a word for them. It's not like a full-blown demon, but they're these pseudo-demons that he kills.
I'm forgetting.
There's a word that they use
starts
in the
with an
story.
A, I think.
Something like that. Beside the point, the preacher guy is terrifying. And Miura just creates atmosphere around him that is just fantastic to watch. So, I think that if you're you need to read Berserk. If you haven't read Berserk, you need to read Berserk. It's just the best manga ever.
But if you are a little sensitive to violence, maybe don't.
If you're an adult, you need to read Berserk. That's I don't know.
Adults can be sensitive to violence too. I mean, I'm just saying is that some of
no, I'm just
some of it could be overwhelming for somebody out there,
Yes, but
it is amazing. It isn't just all blood and guts. I didn't mean it.
What was that?
Sorry, blood and guts.
Okay, but that's the main things I've been reading. Goodnight Pum Pum Tokyo Ghoul, Berserk. I think I've read a couple other ones. Obviously, I read the first volume of what we're about to talk about.
Yeah, same.
So we won't get into that. But I've read a couple other chapters here and there. A lot of, like I said, I read all of Yashimon and Doron so far. Doron.
Can we just talk about how hot King is in One Piece? Why is he sexy? Why is he sexy?
Spoilers. Okay.
It's out. Who cares?
No, it's the
newest chapter. I can say he's sexy and people.
As
don't
of
know
this
what
recording, the latest chapter of One Piece revealed the character's face, and they went. Oda was like,
Oda said,
"Queen's ugly, King's sexy." I don't know.
Hey, Queen is attracted to somebody out there.
Zuma, 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 zuma.
I love that song.
That's pretty much all I've read though lately. So that's kind of wrap up. Let's get our first impression. We're going to be real quick on this, I think, for the most part, because this is a series that a lot of people are familiar with. But we did both read the first volume for the first time, and that is Noragami. So if you have not heard of Noragami, it is this story here. It's about Yato is his name? Yeah. Yato.
I wrote down the names.
He's essentially a stray god who...
no way.
Yeah, it says it right there.
No way.
Essentially, he's super low-level god who, instead of doing anything else in the world, is completing menial tasks in order to gain some
recognition.
Yeah, he wants to
love.
He wants to be as loved as the many other gods out there and have shrines in his name, and that's sort of his thing. And he's a battle god, is something that's noted. I don't really know. A warrior god, which means he has a bit of a sense of fighting, but he has to be teamed up with a can't remember the word.
Oh, a shinki.
A shinki.
Which means divine weapon.
In order to have like the ability to fight. But his shinkis keep leaving him because he's a bit of
an ass.
Bit of an ass. Yeah, he's a bit of an ass.
Yeah.
And that's like the general gist of volume 1 is that we jump in on Yato. It actually, the first little story, I don't even know if it's that connected to the latter, but we kind of get like... I was
going to mention that too.
Yeah, the opening is a bit one-off.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get into what seems to be the actual story, which is that this young lady on the cover, name that I can't remember, Hiyori, she essentially she goes to this like in between. She's like half she's like half
an incident happens.
What do they call them? Ayakashi? No. What do they call the monsters?
I think it's Ayakashi.
Oh, is it Ayakashi?
Did I write it down? I took notes, and of course that's the one thing I didn't take a note of, but I think it's Ayakashi. And yeah, this incident happens where her soul starts separating from her body just at random. She starts feeling really tired, and it involves Yato. The incident involves Yato.
Yes.
So she goes to him and she's like, Yato, you need to help me fix this, and I'll hire you as a stray god, and you can help me fix this and get this taken care of. And of course he's being a bum about it.
He's really bummy about it. Yeah,
he's really not trying. So Hiyori's like, okay, I'm going to, spoiler by the way, I'm going to try to find him a shinki, a divine weapon.
Right.
So maybe that'll help me faster. And then they get into some shenanigans, and she learns that not all spirits or ayakashis can serve as a shinki. And then by the end, we get another character introduced named Yuki, who ends up being a divine weapon for him. But overall, I mean, it's It's kind of like a paranormal,
And
supernatural.
Yuki, also based on the last page, was like,
oh yeah, he's like, I hate you.
yeah, so there's clearly some impending conflict there.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. They're gonna be a great trio that is always fighting with each other.
Seems to be the case, yeah.
You know, which I feel like is kind of a common trope in manga sometimes.
Right. So that's the base of what this is. That's the story you're getting when you get.
That's a summary of what happens in the first volume, basically.
But did you like it?
I think I liked it pretty good.
Yeah.
So I had this is really deep cut. We had gone to A-Con years ago.
Okay.
They had, and sometimes cons do this, they had like a little manga reading room, like a library.
Yeah.
You couldn't take anything out, but you could sit
Some
in there.
guys in there binging Tokyo Ghoul.
Yeah.
I remember that.
You could go in there and you could read and try new manga, and it all came from the local libraries in the area. This was before we lived here. We were traveling down from Oklahoma to go to A-Con and enjoy the con. And I think I read the first chapter of Noragami, but I didn't even remember it when I was reading it the other day in preparation for this. I was like, I don't remember this. I kind of remembered the general concept of like, oh, he wants to be a famous god again and get recognition and praise and all of that. But the specific characters, and especially the plot with Hiyori and her soul separation and all that, I didn't remember that at all. So, but I think it was fun. I mean, it's a good like paranormal supernatural comedy. And I wrote down a couple of things that it reminded me of. The drawing I think is really good, and the character style almost reminds me of Obata's. The guy who draws Death Note, and Platinum End and a lot of other stuff. All you need is kill, endless list. And
that's good,
just the character designs kind of remind me of that, so it is a very pleasing look to it. And then I think it reminded me of Death Note in a way, just some of that supernatural element, but obviously it's a lot lighter in the content, you know, because Death Note is pretty darn dark. But I think if you liked Yu Yu Hakusho or Blue Exorcist or my Mob Psycho 100, I think this would be a good series for you because it does have a lot of humor, a lot of kind of slapstick comedy. Sometimes this is something that Oda does in One Piece, just like really like extreme facial expressions sometimes, like that kind of thing where something happens and they just make this ridiculous face that isn't actually humanly possible, but it's possible in manga, obviously.
Right.
It's not the strongest story yet, at least, but I mean, it's been going on for so long, and there's 23 volumes in print in the US at least, so it did something right where people liked it. And our friend HVL, she's a really big fan of it too, and that's kind of what inspired us to do this first impression. Is
shout out HVL, we love you.
Yeah, I love you, HVL. So I am looking forward to reading more of it, and we have 5 volumes of it, I think.
Yeah, I bought the first 5 because they were on the Right Stuff sale.
Yeah.
So we did go ahead and grab. Oh, I bought the first one full price a while back, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna try it and then see if I want to buy more. Then the Right Stuff sale happened, and I was like, oh, let's just go ahead and usually you would want to buy 3 or so to give it a shot. I got the next 4 for the price of the next 2 essentially. So I was like, I'm just gonna grab 4. So now we have 1 through 5. But it was only the beginning and the end that was on sale for the sale, so I just grabbed that because I didn't, if 6 Plus had been on sale, I might have grabbed more, but they weren't.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I mean, if we're gonna rate it like out of 10, I don't know, is that something we should do? Rate it out of 10?
Sure, tell me. Yeah, go for it, babe.
I'd give it a 7. I think a 7's pretty fair.
Go for it.
Not like super strong from the get go, but definitely a good premise.
Yeah,
in my opinion. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, and if you know me, you know that supernatural stuff is kind of more my wheelhouse. Might and magic, not really my thing. But I'm not even really generally a grounded drama guy. Most of my favorite series are kind of set in that supernatural zone. Shaman King and Yu Yu Hakusho are 2 of my favorite shonen mangas of all time. Yeah. Well, 2 of my favorite mangas of all time. Both sort of in that supernatural zone. I've been smitten by JJK in the modern era, so that this makes sense to kind of hit my wheelhouse when it comes to stuff that I like. So I actually went into super blind. I had no idea. This is what I knew about Noragami. I knew that its opening appeared in like every anime opening quiz on YouTube ever.
So true.
That's all I knew about Noragami.
So true.
I knew the opening to the series showed up. Other than that, I had zero concept as to what the character, anything. Open the first volume, blaze through it, easy read. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
A lot of action, so you don't have to, if that's something you enjoy in your shonen, that it really fast paced, this is a great read for that. The characterizations are a blast. Yato is a fun character to follow. And a lot of times when you have a protagonist that's kind of an ass, it wears on you a little bit, but I think throughout the first volume he is a lovable ass, and that's what works for him. I hope they can keep that up. I'm worried that his shtick could wear on me. That's the one thing, with long-running series sometimes, so he's got to evolve as the character. So I think it's going to happen. I think that's going to occur. So I don't think the series would last this long if it didn't. So I think that we will see Yato kind of evolve as a character, and I think that Hiyori will be the first chapter it was like a one-off almost, and then it jumped into this story.
Which, I mean, a lot of manga start that way.
Yeah, it just kind of like set up what was going to happen, what the world kind of looked like. So I do find it I love it when they do kind of like a combination of like it's Tokyo, but it's also like the spirit world on the other side. There's sort of like a secondary layer there. But yeah, overall, this was a blast. I thought this was a really great first volume and a lot of fun, actually. And I didn't expect to like it. I mean, I didn't know what I was getting into. Once I realized it was supernatural and shonen, I was like, fuck, I'm probably going to like it.
Yeah.
Just because, again, that's generally the stuff I like. It's just the stuff that I like. So when you can play around with something like Ayakashi and you get really creative with some of the designs and monsters, that's the kind of stuff that I really enjoy. So this definitely hit some notes for me that I enjoyed. I do wish that, maybe they had started a little bit right into what we were getting ourselves into, but I think we got there. And Yato's very likable. They're going to have to build Hiyori for me a little bit. She's kind of a nothing ball in the first volume. And by that, I just mean her characterization it didn't really exist yet. Yeah. Yuki almost got more characterization because he said like one line.
Right.
We clearly know like, oh, he's a bit of a cold.
No,
he's a bit cold.
True. Yeah.
But Hiyori just kind of existed. And so I think that the authors are two women. So I think that's really interesting. So I think we'll get there. But we just kind of have to give it some time and let the world and characters be built. I mean, there's only like 3 chapters in this first volume, so
it's only
super
3.
short, and not a lot of time to kind of build in that direction. So I'm excited to read the next 4 and report back to you guys what we think. But overall, this is a 6.5 out of 10 to me. This is almost a 7. I think there's just a couple of shortfalls, beautifully drawn, and really great pacing that kind of kept the action going. And I think that bumped it for me a little bit above like the pure middle line. And because Yato's a likable asshole, that is also something I enjoyed that made it bump a little bit for me. Because if you can do that and do it well, you can have a fun character that's not done often. And I think that's where Noragami can shine. So I hope that we get in that direction. But yeah, first impression, 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
6.5. Okay.
Dang, I thought maybe you'd go higher than me.
No, I mean, I'm pretty critical.
You are.
Yeah, I mean, Waifu knows this. I can be very, sometimes overly critical of the literature that I read.
Mr.
And
English minor over here.
Yeah, so sometimes I just get really into the weeds. And for a series like this is a series that, because of the structure.
Oh, God.
The structure and setup, I could see myself having a blast reading this series. And as such, like it a lot more. But I'm also the type that can admit that sometimes super simple plots like this, they don't do a lot for some people.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. It's a very simple, this is an easy to follow story. And if you're looking for something with a little bit more layers or threads to it, shonen generally doesn't do that. Very few series really take that next level where there's lots of... It's usually a pretty linear story that's pretty easy to follow. And that's generally the intention of a shonen manga. But, I don't know.
I was just thinking about, we were joking last night when we finished our binge of the 2nd season of The Witcher, and we were joking that it's almost too many characters. So I was like, if you do like that, you could go see The Witcher. And
go watch The Witcher, season 2.
Or read the books or whatever.
No.
But
sometimes when things can get too entangled, then you end up with a really shitty story as well.
Yeah.
And that can be a really big problem. But I think that a lot of times, sometimes if you can add the right layers of complexity, something like Good Night Pun Pun, it's a totally different experience than something like Noragami. You know, that's a very deeply woven surreal. I don't want to use the word surrealist because I heard Asano doesn't like to use that word when describing Pum Pum.
Oh.
But it's a very subversive manga series that utilizes drama in a multi-layer, multifaceted way with multiple character threads. Noragami, I don't think is going to do something like that. At least the setup is it's chopping demons and stuff. You know, like that's So know what you're getting yourself into when you pick up something like Noragami and you pick up something like Pum Pum. They're just on different spectrums. But it's still a blast. Noragami was still a blast to read. And sometimes with shonen, it can be a snooze fest. And Noragami wasn't a snooze fest for me. Tokyo Ghoul?
I was about to say, I'm like, you know what does do that? Actually, let's make it a little more relevant to manga. Tokyo Ghoul.
But then again, Tokyo Ghoul is a seinen. It doesn't want to be... It's got
too many threads,
Tokyo Ghoul
man.
is a shonen in seinen's... Or it's a seinen in shonen clothing. That's the only way I can describe it. It's a seinen only by the fact that it ran in a seinen magazine. Like, it's practically a shonen series, which is oddball to me. It's like, but it deals with mature themes like torture and...
Excuse me?
And I mean, that does happen.
Sorry, guys. I mean, if you like Tokyo Ghoul, like, no hate towards
No
you,
hate.
honestly.
I could see why someone
I can be critical too. I mean, I can be bad about it also. It just depends on what it is and if it's really irritating me, but I'm a little bit better about it than Sherry, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an hour. We're a little over, but that's fine.
That's great.
So, guys, that was it. That's the first episode of Manga Musings with
my waifu
and me. And thank you so much for listening. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if you love this, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you leave us a comment down below. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you hop over to, if you're on Spotify, make sure that you press that follow button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review. Do whatever you can to support the show, and that's going to help us to know that we can keep doing some of these 1-hour podcasts where we keep talking about more manga that we're reading, things that are coming up, etc., etc. You may even learn a little bit, some insider scoops, some stories about us, stories about our life, stories about our relationship. I don't know if that's something you're into. I don't know. We'll let you know. Let us know in the comments down below.
Yeah, let us know.
But on that note, this has been another episode of Manga Musings with my waifu and me.
Every time.
Thank you so much. Keep reading manga. Keep loving manga. Keep collecting manga. This has been my waifu and me, and we're saying...
Peace.
Peace.